like, is it actually happening in a way that's detrimental to what we see in society? Like, are there actually examples of, like, this company used to be really good, and now, because of the pursuit of ESG scores, now they've tanked completely, but we're all forced to buy the stock anyway?
Disney.
Like,
well, we've had
$45 billion down.
Disney, the largest company that, like, owns, like, 80% of new films.
God, this is so infuriating.
Well, okay.
Because it's just all of these. James is just not bringing anything to the conversation whatsoever. Like, Disney is just the. Disney is the example of get woke, go broke, but he's not integrating that into a larger argument.
Well, I think Disney is a good and interesting example of what happened there. Why did the Disney CEO change course on coming out against the Parental Rights Act?
But Disney wasn't doing it for an ESG score. It doesn't fit in the conversation that they're currently having.
No, they were doing it. Well, we don't know why they were doing it. They didn't want to say anything about it, which makes sense. And then, Disney CEO got bitched out by high-level investors in the company. And I don't know, maybe those high-level investors, well, actually, it wouldn't affect their ESG score because not saying anything isn't going to affect your ESG score, right? And as I said, I think Disney is a good example of ideological capture because I don't understand an economic motivation for them to come out against the Parental Rights Act, unless there could be a completely another factor here that we just have no awareness of whatsoever.
The CEO could be gay and just totally felt for the propaganda.
Well, no, I mean, like, Disney thought they were going to complain about this and that was going to translate into getting some deal from the governor or from the state of Florida or something. And it ended up backfiring, right? Like, that could have been like, maybe the ploy was to complain about this. And then they thought, the governor of Florida would then say, okay, well, we're going to keep the Parental Rights Act, but here we're going to give you some other thing. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck they thought was going to happen. I think James bringing up saying 45 million is a bad example because obviously the investors who were complaining about this to the Disney CEO, and the Disney CEO made the statement that he made about coming out against the Parental Rights Act and wanting to either not spend money into Florida politics or to try to get DeSantis out of office. Nobody thought that was going to translate into Florida trying to remove their tax status.
Dude, can you just make a causal argument though from the ESG scores to the Disney having a reaction on the Don't Say Gay?
I don't think it has anything to do.
Okay, so why is he bringing it up?
Because
why is Disney the super effective answer when he's like, oh, Disney, obviously, Destiny, Disney.
He's using it as an example of a company, a large company doing something that seems outside of their financial interest for the sakes of politics, specifically woke politics.
Right.
Which is true, but this is sort of a Monday morning quarterback. Because if you were to say, if Disney had a crystal ball and they said, hey, if you come out against Parental Rights Act, you're going to lose 4% of your stock price,
right?
Which translates into $45 million or
right.
whatever, and possibly lose your tax status because that actually might turn out.
Maybe they don't do it.
That might turn out to be unconstitutional with the state of Florida for various legal reasons. But I don't think they would have done it.
Right. So they fucked up. They made a mistake. It's not about performative wokeness. Nobody from the ESG committee came to him and said, listen, Bob, you have to come out with a statement. Otherwise, you're not going to get a loan from us. Like, none of that happened. That's why it's so silly the way that they're approaching this debate.
Well, you don't conflate performative wokeness with the ESG score because they're separate. It could have been for performative wokeness reasons and unrelated to ESG scores whatsoever.
Correct. But I'm just saying, in the context of the argument that I feel like James is kind of building here, is that there's these ESG scores where bankers are putting the thumb screws to companies, making them do things that they don't want to do because they're threatening them with lowering their ESG scores. That seems to be the argument that's on the table here.
Yes.
And Disney, I don't see how that's an answer to this. But he
It's
just
not-
says
well,
it like Disney,
right.
of course. Destiny, don't you know? Disney's the
Right,
answer.
but remove ESG scores from it because I don't think I agree. ESG scores has nothing to do with Disney's.
Right. You're saying he's just using it as an example.
Right, but he's using it as an example of Disney doing something based on ideology as opposed to money.
We
and
don't
it's something
know
that
their
ended up
motivation,
hurt
though.
them.
Right.
I understand that,
And
but
you and I have both said if they were aware that this was going to cost them money, they probably wouldn't have done it.
right. But I do think it's not a terrible example because now again, this is based on my lay knowledge as an internet YouTuber. I don't understand, like with a performative wokeness, we can see the financial motivation for that. Okay. It's the same. And that's why I kept using the organic label thing. Consumers want to buy something that they think is organic. Consumers want to buy some product they think is socially conscious. It's what fucking idiots care about nowadays. Okay. That doesn't really seem to apply to Disney in this situation. If Disney kept their mouth shut about the Parental Rights Act, I don't think any fucking customer would have changed any, buying behavior related to Disney products whatsoever.
Well,
And so I don't believe that investors thought that was the case.
Disney is woke. I read Bob Iger's biography, and he's woke as woke can be. Like he's so up to social justice. We need to representation in our movies and all that stuff. And I'm sure because these CEOs, they pick a replacement that is ideologically in sync with them. So I'm sure this guy Bob Chapek is the CEO of Disney.
Yeah, but it's
now.
all fake wokeness. Disney's not going to put out a movie that has, a gay couple featured prominently in the movie because then they can't sell it to China. Okay. So he might be
trying
woke.
to thread the needle though. You got to understand.
I understand that. But at the end of the day,
there's some wiggle room there, and they're
at
saying
the end of the day, what's
what's
the primary motivation? Is it the wokeness or the money? And I think with the Disney CEO and with any large corporation, at the end of the day, it's always going to be the money.
Right. I agree.
But this example where he capitulates to some random investors, or I guess not random, whoever these shadowy group is that's pressuring him to come out against the Parental Rights Act.
They were the ones that. It could have been a personal thing, though. For all we know, his son's gay, and he's like, "I'm going to make a stand because it's the right thing to do. God damn it, and I don't care if it costs us $500 million."
Well,
you
I'm
don't
just saying
know.
It was reported that Disney was silent on it until they had these meetings, and then that's what made Disney change their opinion.
Right. And does it say what happened in the meeting? Did his son walk in and go, "Father, I can't believe you're abandoning me like this"?
Right.
Don't you know? Didn't you see the Ron Perlman video? They told me I can't come out in front of my grade school class. Why are you doing this to me, Bob?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm saying until you know the motivation, you don't know. You don't know shit.
No, you're right. You're right. But I think it's something that merits looking. I'd be curious to know. Understand.
I would love to know the motivation. Of course I want to know the motivation. If I was a real reporter, I would be calling Bob's office going, "Boy, what happened here?" I would do people actually do real reporting anymore? Or are people just happy? I think this is why real reporting has just vanished. Because people, they don't care if it's true or not. They just want to you just spew out the narrative that people will want to believe. And it doesn't matter if the story's correct or not.
Right.
Disney did it because of the ESG scores. Good. Let's go to press. Sounds good to me. Print it up.
Mm-hmm.
Are you trying to find? But Sitch, Team Truth, wants to know the answer.
Well, I read, I don't know, I don't have it in front of me, but I remember reading this, like Disney gave some milk toast, criticism of it at first, and then, they changed their opinion.
If Disney
it came out hard.
If Disney, listen, I can set up right here. Guy's son's gay. He's going to make a stand for the family. I'm going to do the right thing. I don't care how much money.
I don't think that was what happened.
Well, let me lay this out, okay? hypothetically, someone he knows, right? He's going to do it for the right reason. He's going to do the right thing here. He doesn't care if it's going to cost him $1 billion, but in the back of his mind, he's thinking, this isn't going to cost me jack shit.
Right.
This is performative wokeness. I'm going to do this and there's going to be no downside whatsoever. So he does it. I'm doing the right thing, right? All of a sudden there is a backlash. He does lose a bunch of money and he's thinking, oh, wow, I fucked up. I should have never done that. He's not going to come out and say, you know, I did this for personal reasons and that's why the stock fucking tanked. That's not a good, all of a sudden it's a completely different thing.
Right.
He's not going to come out and say, yeah, I did it, you know, because a family member is gay and I was moved by that. No, he's not going to do that. He's going to make up some fucking lie. Like, we have social responsibility. We want to be on the right side of this. And then we're down the culture war path. So we may never, all I'm saying is we may never know the motivation because if the motivation was something personal, it's probably a fuck up to do what he did.
Yeah, maybe.
He is responsible. You will get sued. Listen, as soon as he comes out and says, I did it for my gay son, and the shareholders are like, well, I lost a bunch of money. I'm going to sue you for all that money I lost.
Well, that's why I said the article that I saw where it talked about this, it was saying he was specifically talking to the investors. So he wouldn't be sued over that. If the investors are the ones trying to pressure him.
All investors? Like this was at a investor shareholder meeting where
but it was like voted? Whoever maybe BlackRock, it's the BlackRocks and Vanguards or whoever, you know, has a big stake in Disney.
Well, I'm sure they have high stake investors, but those high stake investors, you can't just, I guess.
Right. I don't know.
Anyway, he'll be ousted next time around. All of this is just triggering me because these quippy, oh, look at this. It's like, it's just this narrative here is so. It's not
anywhere near as simplistic as it's being made out in those conversations.
Yes. And that's what's driving me insane.
Coming out is your go-to example for a failing company?
We'll see how that goes, won't we? The missile just hit him last week. What are you talking about?
Okay, wait. So
see, and this is another thing. A lot of people say, you know, Disney is going to be destroyed by wokeness. I think Disney is making terrible business decisions around this wokeness stuff. I still think the idea of Disney ceasing to exist over wokeness is ridiculous. Like Disney owns so much IP, and these companies, I mean, yes, they have shitty management now, but what happens is the stock gets beaten up because of terrible management, and they bring in somebody that is like, this is stupid. Like, here are all the mistakes we're making. We're going to fix it.
I went back a little bit because I want to hone in on something that is interesting.
ESG scores.
Do you agree on the Disney take? I mean,
yeah, I think
Disney's going to turn. This is a buying opportunity for Disney. This is the way I'm looking at it.